the guys who created Crash Bandicoot, NaughtyDog, now have a new Crash game, except it's called Crash Team Racing. It's a driving game.
I actually enjoyed it more than Mario Kart. I think that
Me too. I thought it was a better game than Mario Kart.
And this isn't any regular driving simulator with regular laws of physics or anything. This is Crash Universe physics, which are a lot more fun. Turboing, missile launching, empty box blowing, racing fun.
Crash Team Racing is a classic kart racer game for the PS1. Straight after the release of Warped, the third game in a set of groundbreakingly successful platformers, Naughty Dog presented a very early Crash-themed racing game to Sony, likely to compete with the popular at the time Mario Kart 64. A deal was struck with Naughty Dog's employers, Universal Interactive Studios, to give the unofficial mascot his first spin-off title, although it would be the last creation from the original developers. I thought that a Crash Team Racing video would be fitting, as it's currently the first year anniversary of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. I can't wait to get into this video, so let's dive headfirst and take a look at the racing shenanigans that Crash Bandicoot had to offer in the late 90s. After the world gets threatened by an alien named Nitrous Oxide, who seeks to challenge racers to prove his title fastest racer in the galaxy, we get to choose our character for the game. Oh yeah, that's the story by the way. This guy threatens to Medusa the Earth into a parking lot unless he's beaten in a race. Yeah, that works. Even so, it's up to Crash, Coco, Cortex, Tiny, Engine, Dingodile, Polar and Pura to stop him. This funky bunch makes up most of the CTR roster, but all of the bosses excluding Oxide can be unlocked, in addition to Fake Crash and Entropy. You're stuck with the character that you chose for the rest of the game, and the three major stats, speed, turning and acceleration, can differ between racers. Crash and Cortex have balanced stats, while Tiny and Dingodile favour speed at the cost of acceleration and turning. This can add an interesting dynamic to the game, providing unseen depth to classic kart racing. But for my first playthrough, I stuck with Crash, although I later went back to play as Engine and Tiny. Whether you choose to play as a protagonist or villain will change the tutorial guide that instructs you throughout the game, being Aku Aku for Crash, Coco, Polar and Pura, or Uka Uka for the others. The formula for CTR's adventure mode is simple, but done ever so well. Rather than a menu, there is actually a hub world that has 4 main areas, each containing a selection of tracks. If you participate in a race and finish first, you receive a trophy. After getting all 4 trophies in an area, you can race a boss for a key needed for progression. The 4 main areas are Insanity Beach, the Lost Ruins, Glacier Park, and Citadel City, but there is a smaller area between the first 2 called Gemstone Valley, containing the Gem Cups and Oxide's challenge after you obtain all 4 boss keys. Considering that Naughty Dog had no experience making kart racing games before this, they did an impeccable job. The primary mechanic that CTR has to offer over other kart racers is the unique drifting system. While turning a corner, if you hold the L1 or R1 button, you can start a power slide. A bar will fill up in the corner of the screen as black smoke pours out of the exhaust. Pressing the opposing shoulder button while the bar is red will give you a small boost in speed, and doing this 3 times in succession will give you a substantial speed boost, which is increased if you press the button while the meter is basically full. This drifting system can be picked up pretty quickly, but it takes a lot of time to master, since colliding with a wall or obstacle will make you lose all your speed. I didn't start power sliding until I got to Ripperoo, but when I got to Cortex Castle, I found that if I wasn't sliding around every corner perfectly, I wasn't going to win the trophy. I went from being reluctant to boost out of fear of losing control, to being confident with my boosts, making them as efficient as possible and drifting as much as I could. The game is very impressive when it comes to teaching you this mechanic, and it makes sure that you use it. If you drift well enough, you can win the race just barely in some cases. If you don't drift, good luck getting anywhere. It's also worth mentioning that you can boost at the start of the race by pressing X just before the green light. It's not a big boost, but it saves you having to accelerate to max speed. On maps with a lot of height, you can get a speed boost for airtime when you land, which is more commonly seen by jumping off ramps. The more speed you have when approaching a ramp or incline, the higher your kart will jump. The higher your kart jumps, the bigger boost you get when you land. This can let you take shortcuts in races, with some being a lot more obvious than others. You can also collect items and Wumpa Fruit around the track. Items can give you a direct advantage in racing, like boosting your speed or giving you a shield. or they can put other people at a disadvantage, like slowing down all racers or temporarily stunning them. Collecting Wumpa Fruit makes your kart faster, and if you max out at 10, it will upgrade your current item. Taking a hit makes you lose several of them, which can give other racers a lead. I really like the idea of upgrading items, because, well, if rewarding you with an increased max speed wasn't enough, having this Nitro crate instead of a TNT crate really encourages staying at 10 fruits. After playing the game for some time, you'll start to notice the soundtrack.
Well, no fucking shit!
The music isn't something to be focused on in a game about kart racing, but music is as important to video games as Jeremy Clarkson was to Top Gear.
I think what it means is we each have to write slogans on the other one's cars, so you...
To get them killed.
Yeah.
Music in games is a very powerful tool and not something to be underestimated. Spyro the Dragon uses music to manipulate the pace of the game and enhance the interactions that the player creates with the environment. In CTR, the music is a lot more subtle. It's nowhere near as significant to the game's integrity. You don't really notice that it's there because you're focusing on the screen. But this is not an excuse for the music to suck. And CTR's music is definitely not bad by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, any music that's been used in this video so far has been from the game itself. And to say that this shit slaps would not be doing it any justice. The music here complements the racing and the traversing of the hub world. The same hub world that is progressed through by beating... Yeah, let's talk bosses now. More specifically, boss races. These races are brilliant and test everything you know about CTR racing. I was stuck on Ripperoo for about 40 minutes. I kept getting stunned and left in the dust while he was half a lap ahead of me. It was here, after pressing the shoulder buttons aimlessly for a while, that I figured out that I had to drift to win. Actually, every boss taught me something that I could apply in a race. Roo taught me sliding and TNT hopping. Papu Papu taught me the significance of shortcuts in a race. Komodo Joe taught me the significance of items when it comes to keeping on top of other racers. And Pinstripe taught me to evade moving obstacles. With all of this game sense, I actually beat Oxide first try, which I've heard is no easy feat. The game paves the path for you to learn these mechanics, and rewards you greatly for mastering them. Beating Oxide was just as rewarding as beating Ripperoo, because I knew that I improved. The AI didn't let me win, no. I won on my own merit, which feels awesome. One would think that you wouldn't need the skill after you beat the final boss, but once you actually beat him, the game doesn't end. Relics are back from Warped, and they are even harder to get than winning the race normally. Just as in Warped, you can smash boxes to stop the clock briefly, and when you reach the end of the course, or race in this case, you obtain a relic depending on how well you performed. Sapphire is the standard, while Gold and Platinum relics are more prestigious. Every course has a relic, with some being a lot harder than others. Dingo Canyon's relic and Mystery Cave's relic were easy, but Tiny Arenas and Engine Labs were very tricky to get. With hours of skill created and developed, this game can still test you if you choose to stick around. Ctr tokens exist too, created with golden letters found in races. Collecting all three C, T and R letters hidden in the track while racing and finishing first place will award you with a coloured token. Collecting all of one token allows you to race in a gem cup, which can award you with a gem and boss character to play as. I'm really into the idea of replaying tracks, but in a more challenging way. This is the correct way to handle what is essentially backtracking. If you've gotten really good at the game, you can complete time trials at the menu. By getting an impressive time here, you can race the Ghost of Entropy, which is difficult. Beating Entropy's time on all tracks here allows you to play as him, but you can also then race Nitrous Oxide's Ghost on every track. So let's do a recap. You can race on a track to get a trophy, you can race on a track to then get a relic, you can race on a track to get a token and then race on the track in a gem cup. You can race the Ghost of Entropy and then you can race the Ghost of Oxide. Is that not just amazing? You can brag to your friends all you want about being better at CTR, but if you can't beat these ghosts, then you're really, really out of touch from being the best. I can praise this game all I want, because, well, I love it. But there are still complaints that I have with this game, and while they're not massive and definitely don't taint this game's credibility, they're still worth mentioning. Not being able to play as Nitrous Oxide really sucks. You can play as every other boss, and it would have been so cool to race as him too. The start of the game can also be a bit slow. There are constant tutorials given by the masks. One literally tells you that you can't race here until you get a certain amount of trophies, even though there is a clear indicator telling you how many trophies you need to access it. It really is so tempting to skip these at times, because, well, you're here to race, not listen to some floating mask have a form of spasm. I also feel like character-specific items could have benefited the game a lot. It would have given you an actual reason to choose one character over another, when they both share identical stats. With all this being said though, none of it really amounts to anything. This game is still legendary, and if you think that this nitpicking means that the game is bad,
Get the fuck out!
I would recommend CBT to any fan of Crash Bandicoot, or just any fan of kart racing games in general. NaughtyDog really didn't know what they were getting themselves into making this game. What started as a farewell to a franchise they pioneered, ended with a monumental game for the kart racing genre. I loved playing this game, and I'm sure I'll return to it in the near future. The next time we visit our orange friend down at the racetrack will be in the Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled review. And do I have a few bones to pick with that game. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe? I would appreciate it a lot, and you'll be notified as soon as a new video is out. If you enjoyed this, you might enjoy some of my other content, so why not click on a video on screen or the video in the top right. My name is Flynny, and this has been a review of Crash Team Racing for the PS1. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.